So, spinning off another conversation we were just having, La Coalition suggests the Survivor side quest missions could give a good trait to the survivor that the quest is for. Like the prepper ant could be, could give you a trait that says, found my lost prepper ant, and it gives you plus 10 health or stamina or something like that. What are your thoughts? So I think that's actually something that we discussed. I think there was someone on the team for a while, it might have been our UX designer, who was advocating really strongly for us to sort of alter the mission system so that each mission specifically showed this is the reward for this mission. And any mission that didn't have that, we would come up with something that says this is the reward for this mission. Because they found that, a lot of people, they feel overwhelmed by missions. But one of the reasons they feel overwhelmed is because they can't necessarily see the value of completing each of the missions. And in some cases, it's because the value is unknowable up front. Like you look at the mission and it doesn't tell you why it's worth it to pursue that mission. And in other cases, it's because there genuinely is no reward for completing the mission, aside from the influence that you always get for completing a mission. And so their position, basically, their advocacy was, if we want players to go on missions, we should show them upfront why the missions are valuable. And unfortunately, it was going to be, I think, prohibitively difficult to actually implement that in the game as it stood, because we built most of our mission system without that in mind, which means that a lot of our missions are actually, they have this branching structure to them that means that, up front, when we first advertise the mission to you, we genuinely could not tell you how that mission is going to go. Like there's could be multiple different ways for it to be successful, multiple different choices that you can make along the way. And so we couldn't necessarily tell you this is exactly what you're going to get from this mission because we don't know. And in some cases, missions are actually meant to be red herrings. There's a few missions where it seems like it's one kind of mission and it's actually another mission when you arrive. And in those missions, if we were honestly giving you an accounting of what the reward would be for the mission, then we would have to tell you in advance that this is not a very, this mission is a bait and switch. It looks like it's an attractive mission, but actually it's just there to hurt you. Those missions would give the game away. Unless, one thing we could have done was just say, what are the very basic rewards for this mission? You get this much influence for completing this mission, and we don't tell you any of the other stuff because the other stuff might be flexible or might be a surprise. We could have probably pulled off something like that, and that at least would have told you up front, hey, this is why these missions are on your list. It's because they're valuable. It's because they give you something. And that might make players resent them a little bit less or feel a little less overwhelmed by them because they're like, oh, these are not a thing that's nagging me for no reason. These are a thing that's offering me a prize that I can choose whether or not I want to pursue. So I think it probably would have been an improvement to the game if it had been easier for us to implement it without just sort of having to basically fight through this tangle of pre-existing decisions that complicated that approach. So yeah, I think that's kind of my answer to that question. I think that the conversation in the chat has moved on to other things. So let me just wrap this video up. It's a short one, but I liked that suggestion, and so I kind of wanted to give our perspective on it. So thanks, La Coalition. Next question, gonna go there.